All right. Let's see. Oh, is my audio? No, it's okay. Yes, we are back in our little app exploration here. We're trying to get some authentication to work. Where were we at? Yeah, we moved some stuff to the environment, like should we use a development authentication? Are we using development authentication? That's probably not a good term because it's more like what I mean to say there, use development authentication is like, okay, so what is that? Like the implementation doesn't really know, so there has to be something more specific there. But let's explore where we actually use that. Was that in the authentication endpoint? No. Yeah, so let's look in the code and see where we actually use that. So when we sign in, we need to use this browser implementation, open pop-up. And we're going to add a new feature, which is called browser. And then we're actually going to use that. It's a singleton, and it's going to expose the same API. And I think we can just copy the code from the Codesandbox client. Let's do something like this. Maybe we can do something. Yeah, something like this. It's interesting how all these lines are. Oh, now it became. Oh, I think that is. Yeah, let's fix that as well. Let's see. Where is the thing? We have purple. I don't remember exactly where this is. I think maybe it is when we add an item, class item. Could that be? Or sidebar. I think it's here. Yeah, here we go. Link color. This should be like gray 800. Or maybe we can actually, we can keep it purple as we're dragging it to kind of highlight it. But when we place the node, then we change it to a different link color. I'm not sure if it will actually change then, but let's see if it does. I don't think like the link color is reactive, but let's figure that out. Where are we? Client, backend, on. I think we need to move into on link click, on link complete. Yes, delete charts. We will create a new one. Yes, exactly. Because we just, when we complete the link, we just inject. We actually delete the link that's created. And then we actually create a new one. So that would be on injection. Yeah, where do we actually create the link? I guess that's class update. Classes. Yeah, this is interesting. Why? Yeah, so this creates a class update. Is it because we don't have? Why does it show that purple color? Because we do remove it and then we add it again. ID type. This is a link. Where do we set the color of that thing? Now I'm curious. Ports. Oh, this is ports. Oh, it's on the actual port. But where do we define the ports? Oh, I guess we don't. Okay, I'm a little bit confused now. So we have ports, but the ports are on the. So here we create a link, but the port defines the color of the link. I'm very confused now. Why? Oh, god damn it. I hate it. We're supposed to talk about Codesandbox, but then I get stuck into these tiny little things. Yes, I'm just confused about the, because we do have like port, but I wonder why that has anything to do. Port. This is a port, like this circle thing. But what about the link? That's what I don't. Because if I refresh this now, then it's like dark again. If I drag, wait, now it's dark. What the hell? What the hell? Feature browser. Let's try to add it again. Okay, feature browser. I want to add it now. I just need to figure out the scenario. We don't. Okay, so if I add a new node, then and I drag, then it has this color. Okay, so okay, but I'll look at that later. Sorry, we don't have to look at this now. It's not that, it's like a tiny detail. Anyways, okay, so we have the browser and we want to implement this on pop-up thingy or open pop-up. So let's take a look at Codesandbox, how that is done there. Effects, browser, open pop-up. Yeah, it's nothing more than that. Okay, cool. Open pop-up, URL, string, name, string. And then we are able to open the pop-up. And we can say this browser, this environment, authentication endpoint. I wonder why it's a URL. Like, why do we ever want to treat it as not a string? Oh, sorry. It's my, yeah, just 2 seconds. It's my girlfriend and the baby. She asked me to close the door. Just 2 seconds. Like you're walking on, like, what's it called? Like you're so, like sleep is the most important thing for a baby. They sleep like 20 hours a day or something. and everything just breaks if they don't get the sleep they need. Like all the routines, everything. And when you have a kid from before, then all the routines with that kid also breaks, and like it just becomes havoc. So it's super fragile. So you kind of, in terms of sleep, you kind of always super careful, and yeah, you just have to make that stuff work. Anyways, authentication endpoint. I don't know why this is a URL. So let's make it a string instead. And then you could rather make that a URL wherever it's supposed to be used. Okay, open pop-up, and then we need this wait for message API, and this is kind of cool. So this is such a good example of when you treat even the browser API as an effect. You can create these really good APIs that make sense for your your application. So in this case, we have something called wait for message, and it basically just listens to a message on in the browser. In this case, it's waiting for the pop-up we created to send a message back. And then we just wait for a specific type of message. And then this is a promise which resolves whenever we actually receive that message. And we're not like rejecting this with a timeout or anything like that, which we probably should do. But yeah. Oops. So let's use that. I'm not sure what the T is the return type. Yeah, because we're passing the data. So we have this convention in Codesandbox that we send messages through like to workers and different windows and stuff, and they all have like data type and data. They have an object which has a type and a data property. So the type here is a string. We haven't typed the messages. We should really do that. But anyways, so now we can say this browser wait for message. So this pop-up will send a message back to this main window called sign in, and we say data any. Yeah, so we should really say it will send back a JVT. That's what we expect. Oh, string. Yeah, and it says data. Like it might not even have data there. Yeah, this is like, this was implemented way before we had TypeScript, so yeah. Sign in promise. Oh yeah, we're waiting for different kind. Yeah, I never looked at this code before. We're actually waiting for different kinds of messages. Yeah, this is interesting. You should be able to listen to different kinds of messages. Yeah, because what happens now is that, okay, so we're waiting for duplicate. And then we close the pop-up. This is bad. Because this is like, we're waiting for one of these messages. But we're not like it works. But yeah, this is not a good implementation. It should be expressed And also here we're doing like ton of local storage directly, cookies directly. We shouldn't do that. Okay, let's refactor. This is kind of a fun thing to refactor because we have a lot of complexity here. We're opening a pop-up and we're waiting for one of these events. So how would we express that? Now we're saying that we're waiting for sign in, but we're actually waiting for different messages. So what I would expect here is that we would wait for, yeah, this is interesting. And they have different kinds of data. Data ID. Okay, so let's just try to type this. So we are waiting for type sign in, where the data is a JVT token, but it might not be there. Like the data might not be there. Okay, so you might have this is super confusing. So if we are authenticating through development, then we always have a JVT. But if we're not doing that, we don't necessarily have a JVT. Okay, but I think we just have to say we're not sure if we have a JVT there or not. We are not sure that we have data. But if we do have data, then we definitely have the JVT. Come on. Or we might have an event. So these types should be somewhere else. I'm just writing them inline for now. And then we have duplicate. And yeah, how the hell are we going to type this? Or like, how should the API look like? Because we have to pass in what we're actually waiting for. We have to pass in sign in, duplicate, and sign up. That could be like an array. You know, I'm not sure if it should work like this. I think rather you just say wait for message, and then that's like a callback. Let's see. Wait for message, and then you have like the message, and then you can resolve. Well, no, this is not good either, because then you could resolve it multiple times. You can only do it once. So yeah, so that's it. You would have to like message type equals sign in. And then to resolve it, you will kind of return. Yeah, I think it would have to work like this, because then you would return message data, for example. Well, it would return message. So you would kind of say if message duplicate, or it would be sign up. You return, like, this is easy for me to kind of improve this, because initially wait for message made sense, but then suddenly we had to wait for multiple, like, this is how APIs change. You make it for one single purpose and then suddenly it changes, and then instead of actually refactoring the API, you just do stuff like this, and that's not good. So we really want to return this. So what should happen now is, like, if these messages are typed, it would actually say that this data can be either the data of this, this, and this, and then you would actually have to check again. Yeah, so maybe what we could do, this could be an alternative signature. So wait for message takes either like a single string, which is the type of a message, and then you get the data back. Or if you have a callback, then you can look for any type of message. You could even this one's tricky, so now maybe I'm overcomplicating it. What if you wanted to wait for, now we're waiting for the first message of this kind. Yeah, this is the problem. Like, this shouldn't be 3 different events. This should be a single event called like authentication. And then the data should contain, is this a sign-in, is it a duplicate, or is it a sign-up? Because you should only like handle one of them. And then I guess initially we had sign-in, and then since duplicate and sign-up had different data, then we rather created new events instead of changing the existing event. And now we're complicating the API to deal with this, because now it's kind of like, okay, this callback would allow you to wait for the first event of some instance, like the first instance of one of these events. But what if you wanted to wait for multiple events? Well, I guess then you would just do promise all, right? Promise all, wait for this event, and then, yeah, exactly. You would do promise all. Yes, I think this could work. And then the return result of wait for message, like the resolved data, changes if you have a callback than if you just have sign in. Or we could make them the same, really. Yeah, wait for message. This should really be like message. Okay, so let's type this. So this needs to extend type string data. It might be there or it might not be there. So this can either be a type, or it can be a callback which returns t, and t browser message. T browser message. So this would be message. That's just a T browser message, and then we return something from that, a generic, and that is what is being resolved. Okay, and then we don't send data, but we send data, so that we actually have the type as well in there. So what happens here now is that we are saying here that we need to create okay, so let's call this an interface instead, iBrowser message. Oh, get pop-up dimensions. We have to fix that one as well. Okay, so we have these different browser messages. This could even be its own feature, actually. Export type browser message. So what I like to do with typing, I use INT for like internal generic typing. But when it's like specific to the application, so here we have, for example, sign in data might be JVT string. Then yeah. Oh yeah, so this should also be an interface which extends iBrowser message so that we implement it correctly. Yeah, and then I drop the I and the T when it's application specific. So what else did we have? Sign in duplicate. And duplicate should have provider. That's supposed to be there. Oh yeah. Oh, this also sucks. Oh my god. God damn it, this is stupid. Provider, I guess that's like GitHub or Google. Yeah, and now this doesn't work because must have identical modifiers. Because here we don't necessarily have data, but here we do have data. Okay, but we are going to say that we always have data. Oh, sorry. My bad. It's of course this one. What should we call it? Duplicate sign in. Yeah, not sure if I like this. Like it could be a namespace instead. Export namespace like browser message. And then we would like export the different messages there. Okay, let's try that to see how that works. Anyways, it doesn't matter, like we're not doing this stream to get progress on the Codesandbox stuff. We're doing it to talk about different things, and this is an interesting thing, I think. And then we have sign up, sign up, and there we have ID. Yeah, and we don't have to do like browser message anymore. Sign up, and there we have an ID, which I guess is a string. So what we should be able to say now is that, okay, we're waiting for a message, and oh no, oh sorry, no, we're not going to do it like this. Sorry, we're not even going to do this. We are going to name it a type. Sorry. Export type. Sorry. It's supposed to be like this, of course, because we're not actually, we're not actually going to give it the type from the outside. We can just do this. Our type is this. away with all of this. And now we say, let's call it browser message. And now we just say, this is the browser message. And this is browser message type. So now we know that we can either pass a string of one of the browser message types, or we will get a message with some browser message, and then we're going to return something related to that. So now TypeScript should understand that this is a browser message, we have a type, and now, yeah, we're basically sending back any of them, but let's take a look now. Message. Now it says it can be sign in, duplicate, or sign up, but if we were to remove one of these, it should say sign in or duplicate. That's pretty cool. And if I do, oh yeah, and then promise T, I have to do this, I think. Let's see, and here I can do like sign in. What I get back here now is, oh, that should be the specific one. Yeah, let's see. Let me show you how I would type this. So instead of having like these two, we would rather create two signatures for this. So either it can be these, yeah, I guess we need 3 of them now. Like that. So either it can be a type, and then the promised result here will be browser message extends type T, and we say browser message or never. So this should say that whatever we pass in as a string here, the type, we extend browser message to be that type, which means a browser message here becomes that browser message that matches this type that we pass as an argument here. And then we have, oops, oh yeah, we didn't even give this callback. We can have a callback. We don't need this stuff. This should be good. Oh, this should be a promise. Promise, and then this one is going to handle both of them. So this could be either be a T type or yes. I think so. Let's see what happens now. So now this becomes never. Great. I think maybe I did this one wrong. I think it should be and like that. Yeah. So now it says that since I'm saying sign in here, it says sign in. And then we have the callback version. And now this becomes sign in and duplicate. Yeah, this works the same. So that's great. But we're also going to deal with sign up. Cool. And then we have the possibility here to deal with so we just have to make sure here that we are actually if type equals string So if this is the case, this is like the first argument case, or well, then we don't have to really event data. Well, I guess we can explicitly check type equals function. It's really hard to make TypeScript happy. Okay, so what we're doing here is, if it's a string that's passed in, we check if the type is the same as that string, or if the type is a function, we call that function and pass in the message, which will result to either like true or false, or true-ish or false-ish, and then we'll send that or resolve that promise. And there, as I said, there should be like a timeout here. But yeah, anyways, let's not deal with that now. And maybe we should say that yeah, anyways, that's perfectly fine. So what we would do here is we would rather say if message.type equals sign in, we're doing one thing. And maybe we should just return after each one of them. So this would be like if message type is and this environment used development authentication. So this is where I'm a little bit confused, like use development authentication. We shouldn't, how does this? Yeah, so this should really just be what environment are we in, right? But again, it's and yes, I guess that's the thing. It shouldn't be use development authentication. It should be use cookie authentication. That's what we want to do. Signed in dev expires. Yeah, so we do local, like this is also has history. Like we started with that local storage thing. Now we have cookies. Yeah, what would be like the best way to deal with this? And we don't explicitly have to say, oh yeah, pop-up close, sorry. Yeah, we have to say that. Has the yeah, maybe it is use development authentication. But I would rather check, like, I would expect use development authentication to be tied to the development environment. But maybe it's not that. Maybe there is like a development environment where we don't use the development authentication. So let's just settle with that, use development authentication. Okay, so if the message type is sign in and we want to do this, let's put it here for now. And then else if message type equals, we can still be in sign in, but we're not in development authentication. And message data JVT Then we want to revoke the token for some reason. Why do we do that? Wouldn't it make more sense to... No. So what it means is that, like, since this optionally has data, like, this is interesting. You wouldn't think about this necessarily without TypeScript, because what we're seeing here is that we have the same event, sign in. Without a development authentication, we don't know if the JVT is there. But with development authentication, it seems that we know that it's there. But that doesn't make any sense, because this is where we're checking that. Like, the message passed, does that know about it? So I guess when you... Maybe this is just some kind of moving from one thing to another. So if you're not using the development authentication, because it's the authentication endpoint. Shouldn't these be different? Oh, sorry, dev. Oh yeah, and then version 2, I guess that's only for GitHub, right? Probably. I don't remember. Oh, god damn it. Where is this logic? Wait for message. Wow, this was super confusing. Run provider auth. Yeah, no, it adds version 2 to all of them. Okay, let's just continue doing that then. OMG. All right, how should we deal with this? Message type, sign in. Like, and this is like, this stream is raw, and this is how I sit when I refactor stuff, especially complex logic. I can spend hours on that because I really want it to make sense for the next developer. And this is some really tricky stuff. And you know, the API could even be that we return like a pop-up here, and then we could say wait for message on that pop-up, and then we would actually check the source as well. And then if we would close the pop-up without getting a message, we could actually reject the promise. Yeah, you know, we should do that. That's way better. And this would be like a pop-up message instead of a browser message. Let's try that. Pop-up message. And then what we would do is would we do this? Well, let's try adding it first. Can I add it like this? Pop-up. I'm not sure if this is actually possible to do like... No, I would have to do... Okay, so... Function close. Okay, we're going way off here. But I find this interesting, so we'll just do it. Wait for message. We'll have to write it like this instead. So pop-up, close, and then this will be function, function, function. Wait for message, and this will be close. Oh, the thing is, we want to tie... Yeah. Let resolve reject. Resolve resolver rejector. Well, it would only be a rejector. So we either resolve it or we can reject it. But that rejection actually happens somewhere else. I think it's yeah, you kind of have to know if you're this is interesting because you do want to be able to yeah, we can deal with that. So this is interesting. We create a rejector here, but if we resolve it, we remove that rejector. So if you open the pop-up and you start listening to messages, it will fail if you close the pop-up. Like if rejector, rejector. And then we'll close it. Well, maybe we can close it first. And then if we have a rejector, we will reject the thing. And this should like be an instance of a pop-up that is disposed after you close it. So you can't like call methods on it again. That would be a more proper way to deal with this. But anyways, the thing is, if we actually do resolve it, then we don't want it to be rejectable when we close it. Then it's perfectly okay to close it. So the point is here that let's see how this actually looks like now. So we're going to say pop-up, wait for message, and it should be like the same. Yeah, and these events are actually tied to the authentication. Like, this is just getting more and more involved. So these events are only valid for this specific endpoint. Or yeah, so we could say like open authentication pop-up, where this would actually be this generic thing, open pop-up. But yeah, I guess that's what we're doing here now. We're just opening the pop-up. We're waiting for messages on that pop-up. Yeah, I think this is perfectly okay. The thing is, like, we have like a set of pop-up messages now, the types, so you could in theory listen to like sign in, like in terms of typing you could point to sign in if you open some other kind of URL which doesn't actually trigger a sign in or a duplicate. So that's the thing. Like, it should really be open authentication pop-up, and then that has the explicit typing for that and then you wouldn't even do any of this. That would be the best way to actually do it. But then you can say, if you're that specific, is it really a browser thing? Isn't it something that should be inside here? And it is. So what I would do instead, I would say, yeah, wait, you know what I would do? I would just do this. So we have an interface of a pop-up message, which has a type, which is string. Maybe it has some data. And yes, that's okay. And then here I would actually create those types. So export type authentication pop-up message equals export. Like that. And then I would, when we open the pop-up, there we give it the thing. This is where we say extends pop-up message. And now we have, okay, let's call this M. And then this rather M. Cool. So now this should be restricted to the actual messages we think will be there. And this should work the same way, right? So now we have this generic open a pop-up. This is the URL. These are the messages we expect to be triggered by that. And then we can return that pop-up waiting for messages. And the messages we wait for are the ones that we expect. And then we can do our little magic here. And then we will actually be, it will actually be rejected if we try to close the pop-up without it being resolved. Which is what we should do, because when we're waiting for a message, we want that to like give an error if we close the pop-up and no messages can be received. In this case, it will just wait. Yeah, so the point is the user can close the pop-up without you doing it from the code. So this would actually, so we could await. Try to await the pop-up. Let's see. And then, so this would be like a message. And then we can do our little code here. And then we would catch this. We could get an error there. Let's see. So if message type is, let's say this, can we save it? No, it's, yeah, we got some typos there. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so if message type is sign in, we are using development authentication, we should say this browser storage. Yeah, maybe we should even just have a storage. Let's call it local storage. Like it might be actual browser local storage, or it might be some other storage, but it's local to the browser. Dave JVT, message data. Yeah, so I guess we also, again, like TypeScript is helping us here because we can't really be sure that we have data. So we have to know that we also have data for this to actually be valid. And we're going to create a local storage feature where you can just call it storage. Yeah, JVT, because now this should actually, yeah, it should actually be there since we're checking it, but I don't know why why is it saying that it's maybe not there? Well, it's not saying that it could be undefined. What if I don't do this? Ah, that's weird. I'm checking that it's there, and for some reason, yeah, no idea what's happening there. And then I would say this browser set cookie. And that cookie should be cookie. And then I would do like this, and I would say this create 30 days expiration cookie. I can create a function like that. Create 30 days expiration cookie. And then, yeah, I guess we don't need this stuff. What's it? This all it was? Didn't we remove some logic now? God damn it. I do this sometimes. There we go. We still want that. Okay, this storage set cookie, we don't have, this would actually be this dot API auth API that should have the token. I guess we can do the same here, JVT. Does it help now? No, it says it's optional for some reason. I'm checking it here, but I don't know why TypeScript doesn't understand that. But yeah, let's just finish the logic here, and then we can implement this stuff the next time, and then we can actually try the authentication. Yeah, and what's also interesting here now is that we are just bluntly implementing this stuff, and we should really put these as states, because we're doing asynchronous stuff here. So we're opening the pop-up, that should be a state in its own, so that you can't like click sign in multiple times and it opens multiple pop-ups, stuff like that. So we need to refactor that as well. And this is such a complicated thing. Like the whole pop-up, driving the underlying state so that you can trigger it multiple times. When you close it, it should throw an error, and all this stuff. It's super, super complicated. But I think what we're going to do, we're going to switch on message type to make this a little bit cleaner. So on sign in, on duplicate and on sign up. And then we kind of have to do this stuff because we know it is as well. We don't want to do anything if we don't have a JWT token. That's the interesting thing. So we could say if no message data JWT return, and then we rather say do this. This is cleaner, right? And then we have, okay, so let's just put this in here now. We have to stop the stream because I have to get some coding on. Pop up, close. And then cool. Then let's remove this. Well, I guess that's the final thing we want to do. I guess we can break there instead. So we don't have to close the pop-up multiple times. That's also a good thing. We just do that at the very end, whatever we've done to the message. So we don't want to return here because then we wouldn't actually close the pop-up. Yeah, but this is cleaning up really nicely. Making a ton more sense now, I think. But yeah. Anyways, let's save this. And I don't know if you followed along on this. It was very deep into the trenches, but this is such a good example of what happens to a project when you build on top, on top, on top, on top, and you don't do like a solid refactor of it. So I'm having a demo later today, I think, with the stuff I've been streaming about, and I'm going to show this, I think. Yeah, so let's just do, let's add like a storage. Let's put environment over here. So we have storage. We're going to use that. Wow, this is starting to get really slow. I have to optimize that. Maybe REST API can be even further over here. Sandbox API. Auth API. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete like the GitHub thing that we did, and then I'm going to like re-implement it. Anyway, storage needs set key string value any, but it needs to be serializable, so we say set item key JSON stringify value. Okay, cool. It should be happy with set. And then we have set cookie and revoke token. That was in the browser. Set cookie. Cookie is a string, and then we say document.cookie equals cookie. We should be happy about that. We can remove this, and we can remove this. And then revoke token. That should be in the auth API. revoke token JVT string, and this does something. Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so I can show this as well, because it shows the complexity, which is nice. Yeah, I'm missing that stuff. Anyways, doesn't matter. Bye for now. Talk to you later. Oh, tomorrow. That's Saturday. On Monday, I guess. And we'll actually get this sign in to work. And then we actually see everything populating here. We can grab a sandbox and we can like just continue doing what we're doing. Cool. Bye for now.